At last, Cyberpunk 2077 gets its first bunch of Xbox footage, which finally allows us to do a brief side-by-side comparison with PC. Meanwhile, the next Mass Effect game gets some new images, and developers Funcraft Games envision what space mixed with fractals would be like. Yesterday, 3 new pieces of concept art for the next Mass Effect game made their way online. These came from a new artwork book called BioWare Stories and Secrets from 25 years of game development. The images, which you can see on screen right now, were shared to Tumblr by user Felisan. Now, the new Mass Effect game was announced by BioWare earlier this month, but beyond the announcement, virtually little else is known. For now then, these new images give us a bit of insight at least as to what to expect. This image shows what appears to be remnant structures, which first made an appearance in Mass Effect Andromeda. This would seem to suggest that the new game will also take place within the Andromeda galaxy. Another image shows some humanoids in a misty forest-themed location. Now, this piece is actually very atmospheric and puts me in mind of old original Star Wars concept art. In fact, it really does have the vibe of some older sci-fi art. The third and final image shows some new mass relays being built. Where these would carry people is anyone's guess. Theories on these range from transporting people to other parts of the galaxy, or even potentially connecting the Andromeda galaxy to another galaxy. For me, the original Mass Effect games were easily among the best titles I've ever played. Whilst in my book the first game is definitely the best, the third was still very much enjoyable. So where Mass Effect goes next is a very interesting question. Regardless of what happens, and the Andromeda title aside, story is easily Mass Effect's strong card. So one thing the new game will need is very good writers. Let's hope BioWare deliver. Cyberpunk 2077 is still set for release on the 10th of December, which at this point is less than a month away. Now, the game has been shown many times over the years, but it's never been shown running on consoles. That is, until now. Yesterday, we got our first look at Cyberpunk running on the Xbox One X, as well as the Xbox Series X, and this has also enabled for an opportunity to compare the PC version with the console versions scene for scene, or at least in one specific scene, which we'll get to in just a moment. Now, from what we've seen so far, and in my opinion at least, the console version looks like it does a very good job, although somehow it doesn't quite seem to entirely match the quality we've seen running on the PC previously. But that said, it really is hard to judge due to the compression introduced into the YouTube video. Now, one opportunity we do have, thanks to the recent videos, is the chance to compare a very short clip from the PC version to the Xbox version, and this is taken from recent footage. The PC clip actually comes from the YouTube channel TTT. Now, it's not really enough to come to any massive conclusion here, but it is insightful to say the least. To my eyes, the PC version is definitely better here, and this is most notable in the way the lighting is rendered. But that said, the console versions do hold up very, very well, and there's little distinction between the two of them, at least in regards to this specific scene. How the comparison will hold up in the wider areas of Night City, though, is something that we will have to wait to find out. Another point that was very quickly raised by commenters on the internet is the lack of density in the crowds in the Xbox footage. In part, this has been attributed to the fact that the density of crowds changes throughout the day. Personally though, I have my doubts, and wouldn't at all be surprised to see the crowds being a little thinner on the consoles. As it stands right now, I feel it's very important to emphasise that what we're seeing with the Series X and later the PlayStation 5 versions of Cyberpunk are not actually the true next-gen versions of the game. Instead, they are enhanced current-gen versions. The true next-gen graphics will be coming for the consoles in a free update at some point next year. Meanwhile, do keep an eye out for the PlayStation footage, which CG Projekt Red have said they will be showing very soon. Space might be mysterious, but so too are fractals, those strange mathematical objects that almost feel to have a life of their own. Those strange repeating almost organic forms that go on forever and ever, not too unlike space itself. Developers of Funcraft Games clearly feel fractals and space make for very good buddies, as they have connected them together in the upcoming title Earth Analog. From the initial trailer, it looks to be a fantastically realised universe. Setting out in a spaceship, the player will navigate not only space, but these wonderfully designed planets, each based upon fractal designs. It's a very unusual concept and one that I'm curious to see how it actually works. For now, details on the game are fairly limited, however there is a release date of Q1 2020 and you can find more details in the video description. Here's a brief heads up for anyone who may not be aware, but Elite Dangerous will be available for free on the Epic Store between the 19th and the 26th of November. Anyone who picks up a copy of the game between those dates will get to keep it forever. One important note here for those of you wanting to pick up the second copy of Elite Dangerous, each email address can only be associated with a single copy of the game. So if you already have a copy of Elite, the second copy will need to be linked to a different email address. Do keep this in mind as your new copy of Elite will be linked to whatever email address you use with the Epic Store. So if your Epic Store email address and your current Elite email address are the same, then this may give you some conflict and some issues, so make sure you use a separate email address. Throughout this video you'll have noticed a whole bunch of footage on various space scenes. This has been taken using the Space Engine. The latest edition of the software is currently available on Steam and has recently received a pretty nice update. These updates a whole bunch of exoplanets. In fact, there's 112 exoplanets added from current catalogues. There's also an updated Mars texture, Pluto has a new texture, there's a new soundtrack into the game, and a whole bunch of other things as well. Now, in case you're wondering, Space Engine is very, very large. Not only does it model a few planets, it actually models trillions upon trillions of planets with hundreds of billions of different galaxies. It's well worth checking out. Do have a look at all the details in the video description. That then brings us to an end of this video. As always, thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys and girls next time.